We will update you on the go for depress in just a second. We're still doing our calculations. You have concluded procedure 2.120, and now we are moving back into the original procedure 1.225 EMU pre-breathe, step 17.
You go to 1.225, step 17.
And you will continue to hear communications from the crew on board the International Space Station to the ground. At this time, the Orbit 1 team is on console, but we are starting to begin a handover to the Orbit 2 team, which will serve as the prime team on console during today's spacewalk. But those communications you heard up to European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau came from Capcom Alex Kanelkos. He is the Orbit 1 at Capcom. During the Orbit 2 today shift, we will have JAXA, or Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Aki Hoshide, serve as the Capcom. The Capcom, or capsule communicator, is the point of voice that the crew on board the International Space Station communicates to the ground. Once outside the International Space Station, the ground IV will be the voice that communicates with the spacewalkers today of NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Meir. Today's ground IV is maybe a familiar face for those of you who tuned in during Artemis 2, and that is Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Gibbons, who served as Capcom quite frequently during the Artemis 2 mission. Now floating into view, being carried by European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau, is the SAFER, or Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue. This is a tool that will be attached to the back of each of our spacewalkers today and could be utilized in the very unlikely event that they become untethered from the International Space Station, sometimes referred to as a space jetpack. This device has a bit of propellant in it that would enable the crew member to safely get back to the International Space Station if they became untethered. Again, that is a very unlikely situation. The crew trains at our neutral buoyancy lab here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, ahead of spacewalks. And one of the key things that they are taught and that they practice consistently is to remain tethered to the International Space Station, to have multiple points of contact. So again, we do not expect that to occur today, but the SAFER will be installed as a precautionary measure. Adeneau and Hathaway are working together to get that SAFER, Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue, installed onto NASA astronaut Chris Williams' spacesuit. Williams, again, is serving as EV1 today and is wearing that spacesuit with the red stripes. This will be the second spacewalk for Williams in his career. Williams arrived to the International Space Station last November and will soon be returning home later in the summertime, in the July timeframe, just next month. And we are in a brief handover between our satellites, but we do expect to get communications here shortly back with the crew, as well as video. And here you are seeing a shot inside of Mission Control Houston, inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. As you can see, the Orbit 1 and Orbit 2 teams are both on console now as they complete their handover procedures. The International Space Station Flight Control Room is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to help support the crew on board Space Station, who are also on Space Station at 24/7, 365. The flight director that will be leading the team during the Orbit 2 shift today and will be the flight director during the spacewalk is NASA Flight Director Fiona Ankoviak. You can see she's completing handover procedures from the Orbit 1 flight director, Diane Daly. And coming into view on your screen, we got a quick look of it. There is the pistol grip tool. It looks very similar to a drill that we would use here on Earth, but especially designed to be utilized in the microgravity environment of space. This will be used throughout today's spacewalk, primarily to uninstall bolts on the wrist joint to remove it, as well as to reinstall the spare joint that is already on orbit. And in addition to the 4 crew members that you see on your screen here getting things prepared for today's spacewalk, there are additional folks living and working on board the International Space Station as part of Expedition 74. There are currently 7 human beings living and working on board the International Space Station. That includes NASA astronauts Jessica Meir, Jack Hathaway, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno, as well as cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev, as well as cosmonauts Sergei Kutsverchkov, NASA astronaut Chris Williams, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Mikhaev. Expedition 74 will continue until the Soyuz that NASA astronaut Chris Williams will return home on departs in July, at which point it will become Expedition 75. And you can see on your screen there that NASA astronaut Chris Williams was moved over into the crew lock portion of the International Space Station following his safer, simplified aid for EVA rescue being installed. Next up, Adno and Hathaway will work to get Mir's safer installed and do the same with her. Once both astronauts are in the crew lock area of the International Space Station, some additional checks will take place with their suits, make sure everything is configured and looking good for the ground, at which point the crew will be given the go for depress or depressurization. The crew lock will be depressurized down to 0 pounds per square inch, or also known as vacuum. Once at vacuum, the crew will get the go to open up the hatch and float out into the vacuum of space. And if you're just joining us, we are continuing to bring you live coverage as 2 NASA astronauts prepare to begin a spacewalk outside the International Space Station to complete a wrist joint repair on the Canadarm2. Today's spacewalkers are NASA astronaut Chris Williams and Jessica Meir. This will be the second spacewalk for Chris Williams, who will be wearing the spacesuit with red stripes, and the 5th for Meir, who is getting her safer, simplified aid for EVA rescue installed on your screen there, being assisted by ESA, or European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno, and NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. Today's spacewalk is the 280th in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades, and is the 3rd of this year, as well as the 3rd for Expedition 74. Adeno and Hathaway continuing to work together to get Mir's safer, simplified aid for EVA rescue installed onto her spacesuit. This is a device that would allow a crew member to get back to the International Space Station in the unlikely event that they were to become untethered. Getting a little bit of a view here of the mini workstation that Mir has set up on her spacesuit. That's basically a configuration of tools that the crew member will be using for today's spacewalk. Each crew member is able to get their mini workstation set up in the way that is most practical and applicable to them, the way that they prefer. In view now, you can see the pistol grip tool, which sometimes is referred to as the space drill, but is a specially designed tool that can be utilized in the microgravity environment of space. This will be used today during the spacewalk quite frequently to remove bolts to release the failed joint on the Canadarm2, as well as to install the new joint that is on orbit already. The Canadarm2 launched on April 19, 2001 on Space Shuttle Endeavour and was installed a few days later on April 22, 2001 by Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield and NASA astronaut Scott Parazynski. You're looking at a live view from inside the International Space Station as two NASA astronauts are suited up in preparation for the start of the 280th spacewalk in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades. Today's spacewalkers, NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Mir, will work together to replace a wrist joint on the Canadarm2. Today's spacewalk will be the second for Williams and the fifth for Mir. This will also be the third spacewalk of the year, as well as the third spacewalk for Expedition 74. On your screen, you can also see some statistics about the length of spacewalking time for our spacewalking duo today. Williams has a total of 7 hours and 2 minutes in his other spacewalk he's completed. Mir has slightly more at 28 hours 46 minutes over her 4 spacewalks today, being the fifth. Today's spacewalk is expected to last around 6 hours and 40 minutes. So both of our duo will add a little bit of time to their total spacewalking career. As the crew continues to step through those procedures to get the simplified aid for EVA rescue installed on NASA astronaut Jessica Mears's spacesuit, a little bit about the spacesuits that the crew members are wearing today. This spacesuit is called the EMU, or Extravehicular Mobility Unit, and it's essentially an individual human-sized spacecraft which contains all of its own portable life support systems. The suit has 6 layers and provides atmospheric containment, thermal insulation, cooling, solar radiation protection, and micrometeoroid or orbital debris protection. Because the space station orbits the Earth about 16 times a day, there are points throughout the spacewalk when the astronauts are in direct light of the sun, and other times when they are in complete darkness. That temperature range is from about negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit to positive 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So these cooling and thermal units help regulate their temperature as their environment fluctuates from one extreme to another. You may wonder if a crew member is able to eat or drink during the lengthy spacewalks that they have. Again, today's spacewalk is scheduled to last about 6 hours and 40 minutes. While they can't eat during that time period, they do have an in-suit drink bag, which is a plastic water-filled pouch which attaches the inside of the hard upper torso using Velcro. A plastic tube with a valve sticks out of the bag, and the tube and valve can be adjusted to be near the astronaut's mouth. Biting the valve opens the tube so the spacewalker can take a drink, and releasing the bite closes the valve again. Each crew member does have a mini workstation attached to their spacesuit as well, which is a toolbox of sorts. It's attached to the chest and stores many of the tools that will be used during the spacewalk. We did discuss briefly earlier the pistol grip tool, or PGT, that will be utilized by both crew members throughout today's spacewalk, but there are other tools that can be used during spacewalks as well and are attached to the mini workstation. Crew members also keep the procedures for any given spacewalk attached to them above the mirror on their arm for the crew members to reference during the spacewalk. And as you can see on your screen there, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau, as well as NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, are continuing to get both of our spacewalkers into the crew lock portion of the International Space Station. The crew lock is the outermost part of the Quest airlock and is where final communication and suit systems checks with the ground will occur before the suits are switched to internal battery power, which officially begins the timer of the start of a US spacewalk. As discussed, the spacesuits are essentially mini spacecraft that help keep the crew healthy and safe in the vacuum of space. At nominal pressure, or normal pressure, the suit is about 4.3 pounds per square inch. To put that into a little bit of context, the atmospheric pressure we're used to on the Earth's surface is about 14.7 pounds per square inch, and it's very similar on board the International Space Station as well. 4.3 pounds per square inch, though, is similar to what you'd experience at about 30,000 feet in elevation. This low pressure inside the spacesuit allows much more flexibility, which is crucial when flexing the rigid gloves for the 6.5 to 7 hour spacewalks that crew members take part in. Before starting a spacewalk, crew members spend a lot of time pre-breathing to purge the excess nitrogen from their bloodstream and maintain a 100% oxygen environment. Pre-breathing consists of two phases. In the first, the crew breathes 100% oxygen through a mask to begin purging the nitrogen from their bodies. And then in the second phase, the crew gets in their spacesuits and conducts something called the in-suit light exercise, or ISLE exercises, moving their arms and legs ever so slightly to raise their metabolic rate and speed up getting rid of the excess nitrogen. That has already taken place for our spacewalking duo today. All went as planned, and as you can see, continuing to step through procedures ahead of today's spacewalk. Our spacewalk will officially begin when the crew switches their suits to internal battery power after final communication and suit system checks with the ground. And on your screen there, you can see NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway beginning to close the hatch between the crew lock and the equipment lock of the International Space Station. This particular hatch will remain closed throughout the duration of the spacewalk until the crew lock is repressurized again following the end or the conclusion of the spacewalk today. And the hatch is continuing to close up. The next major milestone that we'll look ahead towards this morning is the go for our crew members to begin depressurization.
Houston, airlock on 1, steps 76 and 77 are complete.
Copy that, Sophie. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Sophie, we'll take care of steps 78 through 80. Be advised, EV crew will be hot mic after our steps.
Crew copies, and I understand you performing 78 through 80, and they will be hot mic.
Good copy.
And those communications from European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adano, who is our suit-up lead for today's spacewalk, down to the ground to the Capcom, or Capsule Communicator. Today's Orbit 2 Capcom is Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Aki Hoshide. The Capcom's role is to communicate from the ground up to the crew on board the International Space Station. Once the spacewalk begins, the crew that is outside the International Space Station will communicate with the ground IV. Serving as ground IV today is Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Gibbons. Hearing our first communications from our crew members today, NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Meir. This is the second spacewalk for Williams and the fifth for Meir.
Looking for your go for step 82.
Yeah, stand by on that, Sophie. We're taking care of our steps.
Sure.
If you're just joining us, we're continuing to bring you live coverage ahead of the start of the 280th spacewalk outside the International Space Station in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades. Today's spacewalk prime goal is to replace a wrist joint on the Canadarm2, which has been on board the International Space Station since 2001.
Well,
and has been
on one. We've completed our step. You go to pick up in step 81, and the go for deep rest clock has expired, so you can continue with the crew lock deep rest cue card.
You go in step 81 and then continuing with the crew lock deep rest cue card.
Copy.
On the next step, without touching, I want you to check on the UIA that switch deep rest pump power is off OFS.
Affirm, it's OFS.
I want you to verify deep rest pump enable LED is on.
Enable LED is on.
So now we're going to transition to the deep rest cue card.
Copy.
depress pump power to on.
Press pump power is on.
In 10 seconds. Now, Jessica, I want you to take the depress pump man ISO valve to open.
Copy.
The view expect an alert tone and monitor CP gauge below 5.5.
TV1. Depress pump man isolation valve is open.
And depressurization is now underway. NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Meir are inside the crew lock portion of the International Space Station's Quest airlock. Inside the equipment lock portion are European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeno and NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, who helped get our spacewalking duo suited up for today's spacewalk. Pressure inside the crew lock now down to 12.75 pounds per square inch. Again, we're going to get that down to 0 or vacuum before the airlock is open to the vacuum of space.
Jessica and Chris, for your information, we are now 620 millimeters of mercury and descending.
TV1. TV2.
And quick question for you, did you experience the same intensity of noise as last night?
TV1, I've not heard any noise. I'm not sure what you said. I think you were talking about the noise, but the noise is so loud it was difficult to make out what you said.
Yes, that's exactly it. My question was about the volume of the noise.
Yeah.
Yep. And EV1, I am getting those sounds now. They don't appear as loud as last time, but they're pretty loud.
For EV2? IV copies, thank you.
Extremely loud.
Jessica and Chris, the crew lock pressure is now 530 millimeters of mercury and descending.
EV1 copies.
EV2.
Pressure inside the crew lock now approaching 10 pounds per square inch of pressure. In the crew lock, NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Meir continuing to step through procedures during depressurization. Once pressure inside the crew lock has reached 0, the duo will switch their suits to battery power, officially marking the start of today's spacewalk. They'll then be given the go to open up the hatch and float out into the vacuum of space. The primary tasks of today's spacewalk are to remove the wrist joint no longer working on the Canadarm2 and replace it with a new joint that's already on orbit to restore functionality to the Canadarm2. The arm is used in a variety of space station operations, including capture of the Cygnus spacecraft and installation to the International Space Station, as well as for certain spacewalks and robotic work and experiment work done outside the International Space Station. The Canadarm2 has had 3 other previous spacewalks for maintenance on it. The first on June 13th, 2002, during STS-111 by astronauts Franklin Chang Diaz and Felipe Perron, who replaced a wrist joint as well.
The crew load pressure is now 450 millimeters of mercury and still decreasing.
81.
82.
The next spacewalk on the Canadarm2 occurred on October 5th, 2017, and was done by NASA astronauts Randy Bresnik and Mark Vande Hei to replace one of two redundant latching end effectors, or hands, on the Canadarm2. And the most recent spacewalk was January 23rd, 2018, by Vande Hei and NASA astronaut Scott Tingle, who replaced the second of two latching end effectors, which exhibited degraded snare performance.
Quick briefing. In a couple minutes, I will ask you to put the depress pump man also valve to close, but not yet, only on my go.
Copy.
And we are in a brief handover period between our satellites, but will regain views of the crew on board the International Space Station here shortly. This view of inside Mission Control Houston at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas.
We are at 60 SIA.
The Orbit 2 team is being led by NASA Flight Director Fiona Ankoviak. And serving as Capcom, or capsule communicator, today is JAXA astronaut Aki Hoshide. Our ground IV during today's spacewalk is Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Gibbons, and will be the prime voice that Williams and Mir hear once they are outside the International Space Station and stepping through the procedures to repair the wrist joint on the Canadarm2. Pressure inside the crew lock of the International Space Station continuing to decrease, now at under 7 pounds per square inch of pressure. Today's spacewalk is the 280th in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades. It's the third of 2026, as well as the third of Expedition 74. And our spacewalkers today are NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Mir. This will be the second spacewalk for Williams and the fifth for Mir. The goal of today's spacewalk is to replace a wrist joint that malfunctioned during normal Canadarm2 operations on May 27th. The arm drew elevated motor current and did not move as expected, and NASA worked alongside the Canadian Space Agency to understand the issue and determined a spacewalk was required to replace the joint using a spare already aboard the space station. Repairs to robotics like the Canadarm2 are normal and expected after more than 25 years of continuous operations. The system was designed with replaceable components and planned for maintenance in mind.
Jessica, in about 10 seconds on my go, you will put this depressment mine also valve to close.
Copy.
5 seconds. You are go.
Depressment man ISO valve is closed.
Yes.
At this time, pressure inside the crew lock is 5 pounds per square inch of pressure and has been paused as expected as system checks of the spacesuits are underway.
I would like you to switch your disk to status until leak check question mark is displayed.
EV1.
EV2, leak check.
And long yes.
EV1, leak check, wait.
EV2.
Copy.
Following these system checkouts and ensuring everything is in a good configuration, depressurization will continue back down to vacuum, at which point the duo will be given the go to open up the hatch and begin today's spacewalk. The start of a US spacewalk is marked from the time that a spacesuit is turned on to internal battery power, which has not yet began, but we'll keep you apprised once the spacewalk is officially underway.
Check complete EV2. Option EVA.
Copy.
Leak check complete, EV1. Set O2 EVA in work.
EV2 is an EVA.
Copy EV2, your O2 actuator is an EVA.
Suit checks are complete for NASA astronaut Chris Williams, who is serving as EV1 today. He'll be wearing the spacesuit with red stripes.
EV1, I understand your O2 actuator is in EVA too. Well done. Jessica, I would like you to depress pump mine ISO valve to open and expect both of you alert tones.
Copy. And ISO valve is open.
Copy. Both of you, I would like you to monitor suit pH below 5.5.
EV1.
EV2.
And 2 good suit checks. Depress has now continued back inside the crew lock. Pressure now under 5 pounds per square inch.
Jessica, the next step is going to be for you again, and on my go, when the pressure will be at the correct value, I will ask you to close again this depressed pump mine ISO valve, only on my go.
EV2.
And if you're just joining us this morning, welcome. We are continuing to bring you live coverage as we complete preparations for a spacewalk outside the International Space Station by two NASA astronauts, NASA astronaut Chris Williams and NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. They're both suited up in their spacesuits and in the crew lock out of view at this moment. Depressurization of the crew lock is continuing, now at about 3 pounds per square inch of pressure. But back inside the equipment lock of the International Space Station, we can see European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau on the left, as well as NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, who were primed for getting our spacewalking duo suited up and ready to go out into the vacuum of space this morning. Once pressure inside the crew lock has reached 0, the duo will switch their suits to battery power, which will officially mark the start of today's spacewalk. At this point, they'll be given the go to open the hatch and float out into the vacuum of space and get started on their task for today, which is to repair a wrist joint in the Canadarm2, which has been on board the International Space Station since 2001. It launched April 19th, 2001 on Space Shuttle Endeavour and was installed April 22nd, 2001 by Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield and NASA astronaut Scott Parazynski. Today's spacewalk is the 280th in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades, and is the third of this year, as well as the third for Expedition 74. Today's spacewalk is the second for NASA astronaut Chris Williams and the fifth for NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. Williams is serving as spacewalk crew number 1 and is wearing a spacesuit with red stripes.
In about 10 seconds, you will put the depressed man ISS to close. 82.
And Meir is serving as crew member 2 and will wear the unmarked spacesuit today.
You have a go.
The ISS is closed.
Copy. And then on the UIA, you will take the switch depress pump power to off OFF.
Press pump power is off OFF.
All right, and Jenny in Houston, over to you.
Good morning, station, and good morning, Chris and Jessica. Happy to be with you and ready to take your tether config.
Good morning. EV1 is starting with my tether config. Starting on my left D-ring extender, I have a small hook of my left waist tether locked black on black going up to my mini workstation. On my right D-ring extender, I also have my right waist tether small hook locked black on black, gate closed, going up to my mini workstation. Also on my right D-ring extender, I have my safety tether red hook that is locked black on black, gate closed, going to my red reel. My red reel is unlocked, and my yellow hook is going back to my mini workstation. I also have ED2's yellow hook attached to my safety tether reel to the tether point. That large hook is locked black on black, going to ED2's red reel. ED2's red reel is unlocked, and I see that going back to her right D-ring extender. And I see the red hook is on that, and I see it is gate closed, slider locked, black on black.
You can take over from there.
Copy.
I can see, Chris just said, my red hook, gate closed, slider locked on my right D-ring extender. Also on the right D-ring extender is my waist tether hook, and that is gate closed, slider locked. My large hook of my waist tether is on the airlock D-ring extender, and I can see that is gate closed, slider locked.
All right, you two, we copy a good config. I will talk you through the remainder of the depress side of the cue card. Next up, when the crew lock DPDT is approximately 0, you can expect an alert tone. MCC will look into pressure for hatch opening.
B1 copies.
82.
And you are hearing a familiar voice now communicating with Mir and Williams. That is Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Gibbons, who you may recognize her voice from the Artemis II mission, where she served as Capcom and communicated with Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy quite frequently. Today she'll have the prime task of communicating with Williams and Mir as they step through procedures to repair a wrist joint on the Canadarm2. Pressure inside the crew lock portion of the International Space Station continuing to decrease, now at less than 2 pounds per square inch of pressure. Once completely down to vacuum, the crew will get their go to turn their spacesuits on to battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. Back inside the International Space Station, European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau, as well as NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, are continuing to get things cleaned up after helping Mir and Williams get suited up into their spacesuits. This portion of the International Space Station that you're seeing on your screen is called the equipment lock, rightfully so. It houses a lot of equipment that the crew uses on board the International Space Station and is the prime location for US spacewalkers to get suited up and ready to go outside the hatch. Just beyond the silver door that you see there, what we refer to as the hatch, is the crew lock portion of the International Space Station, where NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams are continuing to have the pressure decrease inside the crew lock, eventually getting down to 0 pounds per square inch of pressure, or essentially equivalent to vacuum. We're now at 1.15 pounds per square inch and closing in. It looks like when the crew does exit the airlock this morning, it will be during a day pass for the International Space Station. The International Space Station orbits the Earth every 90 minutes, so the crew on board sees a sunset every 45 minutes and a sunrise every 45 minutes. The International Space Station flies about 250 miles overhead at a speed of 17,500 miles per hour and has been continuously occupied since the year 2000. In this time frame, over 290 individuals representing 26 countries and 5 international partners have visited the International Space Station. Pressure inside the crew lock portion of the International Space Station now less than 1 pound per square inch, approaching the 0.90 pound per square inch mark.
Chris and Jessica, the crew lock is at 0.75 psi. We're expecting around 5 more minutes.
Q1 copies, 5 more minutes.
EV2.
And this view from outside the International Space Station, you can see the airlock portion of the Quest airlock where the crew lock is located, and the crew members are suited up inside their spacesuits as pressure has now reached 0 pounds per square inch. We will stand by for the suits to be switched on to battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. And at that point, shortly after, we will see the hatch swing open and our crew members exit the International Space Station. First out will be NASA astronaut Chris Williams, followed by NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. This will be the second spacewalk for Williams and the fifth for Meir.
EV2 has adjusted TCV for 4.
Copy, TCV 4.
At this time, the International Space Station is flying 260 statute miles over the northeast coast of South America. And in the upper right of your screen there, you can see the Soyuz MS-28 spacecraft, which will be the ride home for NASA astronaut Chris Williams just next month. Pressure inside the crew lock continuing to tick down slowly but surely, now at 0.58 pounds per square inch of pressure. Once outside the International Space Station, the first task for our spacewalking duo will be to get their work site set up and prepared, get everything in a good configuration, and then they'll work to retrieve the spare joint that is temporarily stowed on board the International Space Station. At that point, they will remove the latching end effector of the Canadarm2 and temporarily stow that while they gain access to the failed joint location. Joint number 5 is the joint that is having some issues. They'll then work to remove that failed joint and install the spare joint before putting back on the latching end effector, cleaning up their work site, and heading back in the International Space Station for today. Today's spacewalk is expected to last about 6 hours and 40 minutes.
Chris and Jess, all our data looks good. We will have you verify on the EV hatch gauge a pressure less than 0.6 psi.
EV1, I see 0.4 psi on the hatch gauge.
Copy. You are go to open and stow the EV hatch.
EV1 copies. Opening the hatch in work.
Houston copies. Jack and Sophie, you have a go to close the emergency MPEV.
Closing emergency MPEV. Copy.
And everything continuing to go smoothly here ahead of today's spacewalk, which will be the 280th in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades. Pressure.
EV hatch is open and in the hatch keep.
Copy. Good config. You can switch power to BAT. Please stagger your switch throws and expect a warning tone.
Copy. EV1 throwing switch first. EV1 power is in BAT.
Power to BAT.
Copy both. Switch display to Pro to verify a functional display.
EV1 display functional.
E2 display functional.
Copy. Jess, on the UIA, switch power EV1 and 2 to off, OFF, and then check all 4 LEDs off.
I see power off, EV1 and EV2, and I see all 4 LEDs are off.
Disconnect your SCUs from your DCMs. Install your DCM covers and stow your SCUs in their pouches.
EV1 copies and work.
EV2 is disconnected, some small ice flakes.
EV1 disconnected, also some small ice flakes.
Copy.
Expected suit P high message for EV2.
Yep, EV1 also has suit P high. Expected.
EV2 SCU is in the pouch, and the DCM is also covered.
Copy for EV2, and we copy your messages. No action.
And with both spacesuits on battery power at 7:20 a.m. Central Time, our spacewalk is officially underway.
Good config. You can check the depress pump manual isolation valve is closed.
Press pump manual isolation valve is closed.
Set your temperature control valve to max hot.
EV2 max hot.
EV1 max hot.
Copy both. Switch water on.
EV1 water on.
EV2 water on.
Check DCM blank and bite off, OFF.
EV1 DCM blank bite off.
EV2 off, blank.
Your go to set your TCV as desired and report it to us. We will take all subsequent TCV changes.
EV1 in work. EV1 TCV at 5.
EV2 is set at 4.
Copy settings 5 and 4. Report your suit pressure gauge.
EV1 suit P gauge 4.2.
EV2 pressure gauge reads 4.6. It'll be higher than norm.
Copy 4.2 and 4.6.
I'm seeing the same on my DCM, to P4.6.
Copy. We are in the middle of a day pass with over 20 minutes till sunset. Set your visors as required.
One copies.
And Jenny, no words on my slightly higher than normal suit pressure?
We have no concerns, Jess. It will breathe down and it's within the range that we were expecting.
Okay, EV2 copies.
Okay, and Houston has checked your suit parameters. We are good to go. So with that, Chris, you can open the hatch thermal cover. You can release the hook from the magnetic plate D-ring and attach it to the stowage tether point.
EV1, in work. Thermal cover is released. 6 Sharpie lines visible.
Copy and confirm you cinched the strap until snug.
Yep, cinched until snug. And attached to the tether point.
Good config. Chris, you can egress the airlock, and you're looking to attach your hook to the forward starboard curved handrail D-ring.
And we are seeing the thermal cover of the Quest airlock now open. Here shortly we will expect to see first NASA astronaut Chris Williams float out of the hatch, followed by NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. And there you can see NASA astronaut Chris Williams exiting the airlock. This is his second spacewalk.
EV1, my yellow hook is attached to the forward starboard curved handrail.
Copy. I'll take your checks.
Copy, closed, black on black. For my safety, my red reel, and my red reel is unlocked.
Okay, those are good checks, Chris. You can attach Jess's hook to the airlock handrail 0554, port stanchion. We'll also take checks.
Copy, 0554, port stanchion, and work.
Good readback.
And as Williams continues to make his way outside of the Quest airlock, you did hear him communicate with the ground IV Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Gibbons about some hooks as well as tethers. He's getting everything configured and in a good spot before he continues on his way to the work site today.
EV2's yellow hook is on the port stanchion of handrail 0554. Slider gate is closed. Slider is locked. Black on black.
Good config, Chris. You can give Jess a go to release her waist tether from the airlock D-ring extender and turn on your HECA.
Copy. Jessica, you have a go to release from the airlock D-ring extender, and my HECA is on.
Copy, so I have released my waist tether, and I have the crew lock bag ready whenever you're in position.
Stand by. Maneuvering back under.
Houston, copies all.
Stand by on. Let me just move my waist tether on the other side of your safety tether.
No rush, whenever you're ready.
Okay, our safety tethers are clear, and I am maneuvering under hatch and getting my DRT ready.
And I see your tether just behind your helmet.
Copy.
Williams continuing to make his way outside of the Quest airlock as he begins the second spacewalk of his career. Next up will be NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who is completing the fifth of her career. Today's spacewalk is the 280th spacewalk in support of station maintenance assembly and upgrades.
Short handover.
Okay, I have the handrail of the bag. I got the bag. Working on the rets.
The goal of today's spacewalk is to replace a malfunctioning joint on the Canadarm that observed a elevated motor current on May 27th and did not move as expected. NASA worked alongside the Canadian Space Agency to understand the issue and determined today's spacewalk was required to replace the joint using a spare already on board the space station.
Gonna clear this bag from my safety tether and get it secured.
Hey Jenny, the crew lock bag ret from the airlock. The small hook is now on the UIA.
Houston copies. We're back with you after the handover. Chris, when you're ready, you can give Jess a go to egress the airlock.
Copy, Jess. You have a go to egress. I am on the forward side.
Copy.
And you did just hear that NASA astronaut Jessica Meir has the go to exit the airlock as well, so she'll soon be coming out here shortly.
Inside.
You also heard that Williams got the go to turn on his HECA or helmet camera. Because the space station orbits the Earth every 90 minutes as it's traveling 17,500 miles per hour, the crew sees a sunset and a sunrise every 45 minutes, so those helmet cameras are particularly important during a night pass, but can be useful during day passes too, as the crew prepares and does their work aboard the International Space Station.
Okay, so you coming out.
We'll move to the aft side.
Okay.
I'm turning on out of the airlock, and I've got a waist tether down.
Houston copies. You can turn on your HECA and work together for buddy checks.
And we both have both spacewalkers now out of the Quest airlock.
My HECA's on.
Copy, HECA on. We'll also take the thermal cover closed.
EV1 in work.
You also heard some communication from the ground saying that the crew has the go for buddy checks. You'll hear this throughout today's spacewalk, and this is a way to get eyes on each individual crew member and check out their tethers and make sure everything is configured in a way that is expected, nothing is tangled up, as well as complete a glove check to inspect the gloves, make sure everything looks as expected on the gloves, there's no rips or tears, as well as a HAP check. The HAP is the helmet absorption pad and is installed inside the spacesuit's helmet as a precautionary measure in case there were to be any water or liquid that would leak out inside of the helmet, so the crew does a check to make sure that that HAP is dry from time to time.
All right, that's both lights on all. Okay, I'm looking at your HECA, and I see that good green light. I see both your helmet lights are on and your visor is down. I see 1, 2, 3 tabs up. I see your left safer handle is up, UP, the man ISO valve handle. See? A little further back. There it is.
Got it down.
Okay. Yep, I see it down. And I see your safer HCM deploy is down. All right, I see you've got your tether in a good config. I see it not tangled with anything. And I see your BRT is load. You look like you're in a good config.
Okay, copy, and I can report that my HAP is dry, and I have a knob.
Copy that. And I also have a dry HAP. And I'm going to glove check.
Okay, I'm looking here. I see your lights are on. I see 1, 2. Can you turn toward your left a little bit? Right, I see 1, 2, 3 tabs up. You can see both of your safer handles are down. And I would suggest getting that bag a little bit tighter.
Yep.
Maybe off to your left side a little bit more and then tighten. Yeah, that looks good.
Copy.
All right, I see your tether looks like it's in a good config. And I think that completes a good buddy check for you.
Copy, good buddy check.
Houston copies good buddy checks. Great job, you two. With that, we are ready to start our translations. So, Chris, you will be translating to the forward edge of ESP2 via the starboard side. And Jess, you are headed up to the port CETA cart.
EV1 copies.
EV2.
And I'm just going to move up onto the toolboxes and then reach across.
And with good buddy checks, the crew is now going to translate or begin to make their way to the work site for today. The work site is fairly close to the airlock, so they don't have too far to go. During today's spacewalk, you'll be able to tell our crew members apart by the stripes on their spacesuits.
Across.
So NASA astronaut Chris Williams will be wearing the suit with red stripes, and NASA astronaut Jess Kamir will be wearing the unmarked spacesuit.
You are 10 minutes up, and Jess, a caution for you: avoid inadvertent contact with the deployed test cable.
EV2 copies.
Chris, on this translation, we suggest that you weave your safety tether as required along the starboard side of ESP2.
V1 copies.
And as the duo continues to make their way to their work site, we are getting some views of the Earth below as they do so. The International Space Station is currently flying 268 statute miles off the coast of Antarctica, off the southern tip of Africa. The International Space Station orbits the Earth every 90 minutes, and you can actually view it fly overhead. If you're interested in seeing where the International Space Station flies overhead near you, you can check out nasa.gov/spot-the-station or check out our app. You can see when the space station will be flying overhead and go outside and take a look for yourself.
Copy, Fram, forward, starboard, handrail for EV1.
Stay firm.
Steady, I'm at the port Utica. I see my APFR.
Excellent. We see you there. That's the APFR in WIF 3. We'll have you retrieve it, stow it on your BRT.
Thank you.
EV1 has attached the large hook of the AET external to that crew lock bag to the forward starboard Fram handrail.
Nice work. Next step is to configure the MUT ball stack MUT on the CTC port handrail.
Copy that. And I realized I put it on the starboard port handrail. I'm switching over to the forward starboard handrail.
Houston copies.
And here you're seeing a split screen view of our two spacewalkers today. On the left, NASA astronaut Chris Williams' helmet camera. You can see that tool bag box item kind of in the center of the screen. That's his mini workstation, which we discussed before. Carries the tools and tethers and all the equipment that he'll need for today's spacewalk. And on the right hand side of your screen there, you see NASA astronaut Jessica Mears' helmet camera.
I've got the APFR on my BRT.
Copy, Jess. You can translate down to ESP2 via the lab strut and the gap spanner. We'll take a double press of the port Cedar-Cart brake release and poor man's fair lead on the lab.
And those communications confirming that NASA astronaut Jessica Meir retrieved the APFR. This is the Articulating Portable Foot Restraint, and is essentially a foot restraint that the crew members get into to be able to secure their legs in the microgravity environment of space and work during a spacewalk.
E1 is ready to the ball stack MUT and is releasing from crew lock bag, and I'm going to put it on the CTC.
That's a good readback, Chris. You will configure it such that the MUT is facing zenith and port to receive the spare joint later.
Copy, MUT, zenith, and port.
Good readback.
Okay, MUT ball stack MUT is locked, facing zenith and port.
Looks great. Thanks, Chris. Chris, with the speedy work you made of the mutt ball stack mutt, we will have you get a head start on attaching the mutt ball stack mutt RET to the spare joint MLI and getting a head start on releasing the MLI from the spare joint.
Copy that. We'll start getting attached to the spare joint MLI.
Good read back.
And I'm on the lab, Jenny. I'll do my four-man fair lead.
Copy.
And this view of NASA astronaut Chris Williams in the center of your screen. Again, he's going to be wearing the spacesuit with the red stripes today. He's EV1. He's been given the go from the ground to begin to remove MLI. MLI is multi-layer insulation and is used outside the International Space Station to protect a lot of items that are going to be exposed to vacuum for a longer period of time. So he's going to work to remove that MLI from the spare joint that is already outside the International Space Station, staged and ready to go. This spare joint will be installed on the Canadarm2 today as part of the spacewalk.
20 seconds to a short handover.
Copy.
As you can see on your screen, it's beginning to get a little bit darker for our crew members. Again, the International Space Station orbits the Earth every 90 minutes, so the crew sees a sunrise and a sunset every 45 minutes. We're in a brief handover between our satellites, but you are looking at a view inside Mission Control Houston at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. The team of flight controllers here on the ground is being led by NASA Flight Director Fiona Ankoviak. And today's ground IV, which is the prime voice that you hear communicating to our spacewalkers, is Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jenny Gibbons. To her right is our Capcom, or capsule communicator, JAXA astronaut Aki Hoshide, who will be communicating with the crew that is back on board this space station.
Some warnings and cautions for you both.
EV1 copies and ready to copy.
And EV2.
All right, avoid electrical connectors, grounding tabs, and sensitive interfaces on the temp stow and primary FSE rings, and sensitive areas on the joints SLE and CLA. We're also coming up on our EDF work, so avoid pulling too hard on the EDF lanyards and side-loading the EDFs.
EV1 copies.
EV2.
For EV1, quick question on our RET choreography here. Right now, I still have a RET going from the crew lock bag to the mutt ball stack mutt. Is that one eventually coming down to the FSE?
A-firm, you can put that RET on the FSE.
Okay, in work.
Jenny, I see my four-man fair lead does seem to be staying in place.
Copy.
All right, Jessica, I see you coming down with your APFR. You're looking in a good configuration.
EV2. See where it sticks.
And Jess, can I verify, is your poor man's fair lead staying in place, or did you report that it's not staying in place?
I reported that I saw that it was.
Okay, good news. Thanks, Jess. And while I have you, can you just confirm that you did the CETA-CART 'Cart' 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 'C
Actually, no, I did not. I guess I needed another reminder there. I did not do that break release, so we'll keep that in mind for the way back.
That's fine. It was precautionary. We'll catch it on the backside. We'd like you to continue getting to the work site and getting the APFR ready.
See.
And on the left hand of your screen there, you are seeing NASA astronaut Chris Williams' helmet cam as he removes that MLI multi-layer insulation from the spare joint that is staged and ready to go outside the International Space Station. Meanwhile, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir is continuing to make her way to today's work site and get her articulating portable foot restraint installed.
I think I might need to go around to the other side to get the Velcro on the back of it.
Okay, copy.
It is attached to, they have a ret going to the D-ring out and adjustable from the ball stack mutt. One end of that adjustable is attached to the tether point on that.
Copy. And Jody, I'm going to put this at a clocking of 3.
Affirm, clocking of 3. Would you like your additional settings?
Not quite yet.
Okay, copy. I can confirm clocking of 3. And nice work, Chris. You can translate around ESP2 to the aft side of the spare joint.
Copy. Heading around to the aft side.
And if you're just joining us this morning, we are now 31 minutes into the 280th spacewalk outside the International Space Station. NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Meir are working to translate to their work sites in preparation of swapping out a failed wrist joint on the Canadarm2.
And install of the APFR. Jess, your next task is to continue with the stowage of the MLI on the ball stack mutt. Sounds like Chris got it tethered for you and potentially released the quarter-turn fasteners. Once he can release on the aft side, you can bundle the MLI using the adjustable.
And I'm going back around, looking in a good configuration, Jeff.
At this time, the work site is successfully set up and prepared for today's spacewalk. Williams did remove that MLI or multi-layer insulation from the spare joint. Next up, our spacewalking duo will work together to utilize the pistol grip tool, or PGT, to remove bolts on the spare joint fasteners. And this spare wrist joint will then be temporarily stowed while the duo makes its way over to the Canadarm2 and does some work on the end effector.
Great. And Chris, we also see you getting in position to assist with that MLI, and then you'll be positioning for the joint drive bolt.
Copy.
You guys are doing great, making up good time. Just a reminder, our workspace is really tight today, so we're keeping a close eye and also want you to be wary of any sort of helmet or visor bumps in your workspace today.
Me too.
Okay, EV1 on the aft side.
Copy.
And in this view, we do have a view of both of our crew members, our spacewalkers today. On the upper left portion of your screen is NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. She's wearing the unmarked spacesuit. On the right is NASA astronaut Chris Williams wearing the suit with the red stripes.
I'm going to fix that. I took off a little piece of joint MLI.
Copy. It's hard when we make everything the same color.
Yep. Okay, that MLI that I unvelcroed is velcroed back down.
Copy. And again, you're looking for that joint drive bolt, and your first action will be to press the button and move the drive handle to EVA.
Okay, stand by. I'm going to get into a gear body position here.
Sounds great.
And Jessica Meir does have that MLI, that multi-layer insulation that was removed by Williams, now tethered to her. Williams is going to get the pistol grip tool configured to be able to release bolts from the spare wrist joint there that you see in the center of your screen. Eventually, this will be installed on the Canadarm2 as part of today's spacewalk.
Copy, working on my BRT. I have the MLI bundled.
Nice work. That looks great to us, Jess. You can tend it above the CTC and take the square scoop from the mutt ball stack mutt. You'll be installing that on the spare joint, handle pointed aft, and you can leave the mutt jaws open.
Copy. That's not bundled quite as well as I would like, but I think it is out of the way. I think we can leave it where it is for now. I'll work on the scoop.
Copy, and we are happy with that MLI config. Thanks, Jess.
Right.
I've got a BRT down and rigidized, and I'm working my PGT.
Copy. Let me know when you're ready for settings.
Go.
And Jenny, that's handle pointing aft, correct?
Affirm, handle pointing aft.
You may have heard the acronym BRT. That stands for Body Restraint Tether, and that is a way in which the crew members attach themselves to the International Space Station. The crew have a variety of different hooks and fasteners and tethers that they use to make sure that they are always securely attached to the space station or equipment aboard it.
Display is reset.
Good readback. All right, Chris, we are ready for you to drive this joint drive bolt. This will be 225 turns. We will back you up with timing from the ground. It'll be about 4.5 minutes. Let us know when you start.
Copy that. I am ready to start turns. Jessica, I'm starting turns now.
Okay, copy.
And Jess, when you are able, we will take a visual check on the direction of the joint drive. We're looking for counterclockwise from your perspective.
And this view from NASA astronaut Chris Williams' helmet cam as he utilizes the pistol grip tool to release those bolts on the spare joint on the International Space Station that will be installed on the Canadarm2.
Turns.
And from our external cameras, we are actually able to verify good motion. So, Jess, we no longer need that check from you, and we are comfortable waiting for the scoop install until after the bolt, if needed.
Okay, yeah, I can confirm that motion right now as well, moving counterclockwise from my perspective.
Excellent.
I am going to pause with the scoop because I don't have anywhere to put my right hand, and it would basically, my right hand would be near the mechanism that's turning. So I'm going to wait with the scoop.
That sounds great to us, Jess. We're learning a lot about this work site today, so no problem.
I can say that I can give a very good inspection right now of the spare. On this side, I see all good connectors. I don't see any fraud. I don't see anything off nominal.
Good news. Thank you.
Turning much more slowly than I anticipated.
And Williams continuing to drive those bolts. As the ground stated, this will take about 4.5 minutes. Doesn't always take this long to drive bolts during spacewalks, but this is a particularly long bolt.
Okay, I have a scoop in my hand. Let's see if I can temp stow that somewhere.
Yeah, and we can have you wait too, Jess. That's totally fine. We're over halfway through this bolt.
Okay.
$200. Firm 225.
Copy. 225 turns.
All right, we got 225 turns.
Copy. Good turn count. Thanks so much, Chris. You can stow the PGT.
And I can read it. I can see, wow, Chris. I can report negative 69 degrees on the dial. Looks exactly right.
Great news. Wonderful eyesight. We love it.
And Chris, I have the scoop in my hand, and maybe we can work together to put it on this side because I don't have anything to hold on to.
Yep. Stand by one. Let me just volunteer put this joint drive bolt back to motor before I forget.
Copy.
A-firm, that is your next step. Back to motor.
Joint drive is in motor, and the button's popped up.
Copy. Good config. You can assist with the scoop.
Copy.
Some happy reports from the team here on the ground following those 225 drives by the pistol grip tool done by NASA astronaut Chris Williams. So you can see on your screen there helmet cams from both of our spacewalkers today as they work together to help get this spare joint removed.
I think it should be a lot easier from that side. That's the correct orientation. And I will start looking at the ATFR. So, Jenny, first I'm going to move Chris's from 5 to 4.
Affirm, but we do have a step to move the scoop RET to the starboard fram handrail. I want to make sure that you can do that as well.
Okay, copy.
Okay, scoop is on and locked. The handle pointing aft.
Okay, well done. I will grab the other end and get the tether on the starboard handrail.
Copy. Let me...
And the jaws ended up closing, so I will reopen them.
Copy. Release the rat from the scoop?
Oh, no, leave the rat.
Firm.
I'm going to release this end.
Sorry, yep.
Yes, this is the intent of this is that it is the tether for the spare once we remove it, so we are just tethering it to the fram.
Copy. Yep.
Okay, it is tethered to the fram handrail. I think one of the things we might want to consider is, well, I guess the crew lock bag will be gone. Having the crew lock bag right here has made it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be gone when we're back here.
I concur with that. It is kind of in the way, but yeah.
All right, Houston copies all. We concur it should be out of the way soon.
I'm going to check on this mutt because...
And if you're just joining us this morning, welcome. We are continuing to cover the 280th spacewalk outside the International Space Station. We're 47 minutes into today's spacewalk. Today's spacewalk is expected to last about 6 hours and 40 minutes. Our spacewalkers today are 2 NASA astronauts, Chris Williams, who's completing the 2nd spacewalk of his career, and Jessica Meir, who is completing her 5th.
Bravo 7. And I'm looking at the access to the mutts. I think I can get... we were worried about access to number 1, I think, right? But I think there's plenty of clearance.
That's a great report. Thank you. And yes, we were concerned with the wobble.
Can you verify with the orientation of the scoop right now?
Yeah, I might need to do a different body position. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jess.
For the jaws of the butt. So look, is this the orientation you were expecting?
Stand by. Oh, sorry, I can't quite see.
Yeah, I think this makes sense for how the scoop is. This is going to be able to attach to the scoop handle. The only problem is you might want to put the rat on the other side of the scoop. So take a look. Jaws are going to close around the starboard side, and
I see what you mean. Let me do that. The scoop is locked, so I can do that. Concur?
Concur.
Houston's following along.
Right, this MDSU is rather inconvenient.
Yeah. Well, notes on the worksite, Jenny. For me, like positioning that scoop, the one thing that would be good to hold on to the body position is that other temp stow ring that has the sharp edge concerns. So, and then the bag is right there as well. So I think it works really well to have Chris get the scoop from the aft side.
All right, I copy the report, Jess. We do believe you could hold on to the edge of that spare ring, just not the grounding tabs. Those are the sharp edge concerns. locations.
Okay, copy, that's good to know. And I can see those grounding tabs.
Copy.
And the main task of today's spacewalk is to replace joint number 5 of the wrist joint on the Canadarm2, which malfunctioned during May 27th normal operations. An elevated motor current was experienced and the arm did not move as expected. There is a spare joint on board the International Space Station that Meir and Williams are working to release as we speak that will be installed into the Canadarm2 today.
Bravo 7, counter 2 is set.
Good readback. You can start releasing EDFs. We suggest you start with EDF 5. This will be 5.5 turns.
Copy, EDF 5, 5.5 turns. I see it, and I'm briefing and getting that in work.
Copy.
I have a ret on the APSR.
Copy. And a reminder, this is the potential sticky locking collar APFR. We're well equipped to handle that should it come up.
And Williams now going to use the pistol grip tool in order to further release the spare joint on board the space station.
Great news. Thanks, Jess.
I am starting turns on EDF 5.
Copy.
That's 5.5 turns on EDF, and started pulling out when I took the PGT off. That's a good sign.
Copy. 5.5 turns on EDF 5, and it started pulling out. Confirm you can pull it all the way out with the lanyard.
Gonna work. Lanyard's a little bit twisted. Let me see if I can get my hand in there. EDF 5 is fully extracted. All of the retaining tethers are good. Looks like the bolt at the top did come a little bit loose, though.
Okay, we copy, and it does look like it's popped out to us, so that's a good config.
And Jetty, a clocking of 9, correct?
And with that first fastener successfully removed, Williams is now going to work on removing the remaining 5 on the spare joint.
Is the stickiness of... Oh,
Or 1. Go ahead, Jess.
The EDF 6.
I have a black on black and a good tool test, but I'm not passing the phone port test.
Copy.
I'm starting turns on EDF 6.
Houston copies.
This sticky locking collar, I can see that I'm in... I think what's happening is it's not going to black on black.
All right, we copy.
And now that I'm in the whiff, it's not running all the way to...
And Jess, we just want to make sure that there's no interference as you're installing this with structure.
Okay,
so potentially you could deploy the ingress aid. We think that that might have been preventing a good install. The locking collar might be a separate issue.
I'm watching the ingress aid. I can see it's coming close to ESP2, but it's not impacting. And I actually got it now. I have black on black locking of 9 and a good full twist test.
Okay, excellent. Your other settings are Fox Fox Charlie 6.
Fox Fox Charlie 6.
Good readback.
And EV1 can confirm that EDF6 is extracted.
Copy, EDF6.
And same thing on EDF6. It does look like that nut at the end. It does look like that nut at the end unthreaded a little bit.
All right, we copy. Not a concern, but EDF6 is extracted. You can move on to EDF1.
Copy, EDF1 in work.
Williams continuing to make good progress in removing the fasteners from the spare joint outside the International Space Station.
And Jenny, I've increased my cooling to 7 for the time being. So I think with this one, I know that we thought it had a key collar. I think it's actually the pitch knob, my old nemesis, that is very sticky. You can see that it is totally locked. Now I can push it in, but I'm unable to turn it. Oh, wait, there it goes. What's turning?
We copy.
And get that installed where she will be utilizing it today.
And the pitch knob is locked, can be depressed. Let's see, that was Charlie and 6, correct?
Affirm. Fox Fox Charlie 6 and copy. Good check on the pitch knob.
And we're starting to come up into a sun pass of the International Space Station, which orbits the Earth every 90 minutes. So we'll see a sunset and sunrise every 45 minutes throughout the duration of our spacewalk today.
With my DRT down here.
Okay, we copy. That was the one that we thought might be a more challenging reach with the wobble, too.
Yeah, if you had the shorter one, I think it would have been doable. Let me see. One last try.
Hey, good data. Thank you, Chris.
I have Charlie 6 that as well.
Copy. Those are good settings. We are ready for you to reconfigure the port APFR. We're looking for Fox Fox Lima 6.
Copy.
I'm going to try Bravo 7 counter 2 on EDF6.
Good settings.
For 1, sorry.
And that should be EDF1, Affirm.
Five and a half turns.
Copy 5.
Johnny, I see that this handrail that I was planning on using for a lot of actions, which is just on the front face of ESP2, just starboard of my APFR, does have a handrail clamp on it. So does that mean I cannot waist tether to it?
Good question, Jess. You can use that as a local tether point. Obviously, we don't want that to be your prime load path, but it's legal for a local.
Copy, legal for local. And also for BIP.
Affirm.
Okay, copy.
Okay, Jenny, I've got those 3 EDFs, 6, 5, and 1 released and pulled out.
Copy 6, 5, and 1 released and pulled out. And Chris, next steps for you are, as written, to maintain control of the joint for Jess's bolts to be released. But since you have a little extra time here, if you can reach EDF 4, that's the one under the scoop, we would also like you to attempt to release that one.
And we are getting some really great views of our spacewalkers today now that we are back in a day pass. NASA astronaut Chris Williams is wearing that spacesuit with the red stripes on the top of your screen, and NASA astronaut Jessica Meir is on the bottom left of your screen. You can just see her legs and feet there, but she is wearing the unmarked spacesuit today. In the center of your screen is the spare joint that our duo is working to remove from its temporary stowage location and get it in a configuration to eventually be able to install later today on the Canadarm2. We've just surpassed the 1 hour mark in today's spacewalk. The crew is continuing to make good progress and is running about 20 minutes or so ahead of the timeline. Today's spacewalk did begin at 7:20 a.m. Central Time, so we are 1 hour, 1 minute, and 30 seconds into the 280th spacewalk in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades.
Five and a half turns on DF4.
Copy, 5.5 turns, EDF4. I see you stowing your PGT, Chris. We'll also take a confirmation that the lanyard can be pulled out.
Yep, stand by. I need to, I think, get down there a little bit more to get in position for that.
Copy.
And NASA astronaut Chris Williams is working to stow that PGT or pistol grip tool for now, but it won't be the last that we see of it today, certainly. It will come into play quite a bit during today's spacewalk. Also in view, just above his head there, is the mini workstation, which has a variety of tools and tethers and items that will be utilized during today's spacewalk.
After 5.5 turns. Came out a little bit, but not the whole way.
Copy, we're talking it. Chris, we would like you to try jiggling this EDF as you're pulling it out. If that does not work, we will move to doing an additional 2 turns.
Copy. Let me, if I can get a better position here.
And Williams continuing to work through steps to release that spare wrist joint.
Yeah, the scoop is kind of in the way for me to get a good hand on it.
Mm-hmm. All right, my APFR is set in Lima 6.
Copy. Good APFR settings. Thanks, you two. Now we will get Jess to reposition for releasing EDF 2, and the last EDF we'd planned for is EDF 3. So after EDF 2, let's just take a pause and make sure that Chris can maintain control of the spare joint. And I have consumables updates when you're ready.
Yeah, EV1 copies all and ready.
EV2 copies, just 1 point. I'm in a good position right now for bolt 2. Since it's more port, I think I'm going to need to stay here more port, which means after the bolt, Chris, I could reposition a little bit to help you guide it in.
Copy.
That make sense to you?
Does.
I can, yeah.
And Houston's fine with that plan.
And if you've been following along, Williams has released several of the fasteners that are securing the spare joint to the structure outside the space station. And now Jessica Meir is going to work to release the remaining fasteners.
You're both doing a great job. The limiting consumable is EV1 MEDOX at 7 hours, and you're around 20 minutes ahead of the timeline. But I think a lot of the dev you guys have done in the past hour will really pay dividends for the rest of the EVA. Great work.
EV1 copies.
EV2.
Jess, this PGT setting will include Bravo 7, so we'd like you to brace appropriately. Let me know when you're ready for those settings.
Okay, and I'll give you a cow first.
And outside of Jessica Meir's helmet camera on the right hand of the screen, we are seeing a view of the Earth below. The International Space Station orbits the Earth every single 90 minutes and is currently beginning a pass into the United States. It's just flying over the Pacific Ocean now, but soon will be passing along the coast of Olympia, Washington, and will be flying over the entire United States, essentially, including directly over Houston, Texas, here in just a couple of minutes. We'll let you know when we're overhead in Houston, but as of right now, the International Space Station is just currently over Olympia, Washington, and so here shortly, just a couple minutes from now, it will be over Houston. That's how fast the space station flies, 17,500 miles per hour. If you want to see when you can spot the International Space Station flying overhead, you can check out our app, Spot the Station, as well as our website, and you can enter in your location where you live and see when the International Space Station will fly overhead. And this view from inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where the Orbit 2 team is being led by NASA Flight Director Fiona Enkowiak. Here in Mission Control Houston, there are a variety of console positions that are staffed to maintain the International Space Station and its systems, including during today's spacewalk. Today's spacewalk is the 280th in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades.
After the handover, and we can confirm Bravo 7, counter 2.
Bravo 7, counter 2 is set, and I'm looking for 5.5 turns.
Affirm, and we have it down that this is EDF 2.
I am on EDF 2.
Copy.
I'm starting turn.
And as we regain some views and communications with the crew on board the space station, or outside the space station, rather, as they complete today's spacewalk, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir is completing the 5th spacewalk of her career, and she is currently working to remove some fasteners holding the spare joint for the Canadarm2 to the International Space Station that will be installed later on during today's spacewalk.
And it's all the way out.
We see a great view of that. All right. We have one EDF left. We are tracking that is EDF 3. So we would like Chris to maintain control of the spare joint and give Jess a go to release EDF 3 when she is in position. Let me know when you're ready for one caution.
Chris is ready, and I have a hand on the scoop. I have control.
So I'm going to switch to the other handrail for this.
Copy.
Houston copies.
And this view of NASA astronaut Jess Camere in the unmarked spacesuit on the lower portion of your screen as she works to remove that final fastener securing the spare joint to the space station. Above her is NASA astronaut Chris Williams in the spacesuit with the red stripes. He's serving as EV1, or extravehicular member 1, and Jess Camere is serving as EV2 during today's spacewalk.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thinking.
Yep, I love it.
All right, Chris.
I've got control.
Copy.
Before you start turns, caution, minimize loads into the joint or mutt ball stack mutt on the CTC handrail.
On, EV2. Hey, Chris, I'm starting turn.
Houston copies.
.5 turns. It looks as if it's loose. There is some space between the washers, but it is not pulling out.
Yeah, I have that same
Oh, there it comes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming.
All right.
I think since it's the last one, it's a little bit side-loaded.
Yep.
I can see it moving.
Okay. I'm going to...
Does it look all the way out?
I can't see it. It looks like, yep, it looks all the way out.
I think it is as well. Okay, wait, before you pull it out, I'd like to fill my PG keys.
Yep.
Houston's following along. Looks like
I'm guessing I may need a little...
good EDF. We'll verify all of them are still extracted before you release that joint, and then you can work together to move it out of stock and stow it on the mutt ball stack mutt.
I can't see number 1, but I can see 5 and 6 are fully extracted.
And as our crew members continue to work on removing that last fastener securing the Canadarm2 to the International Space Station, here is a view of the arm where the wrist joint will be repaired during today's spacewalk. As we mentioned, the International Space Station a few minutes ago was entering the United States. It's now currently flying over Amarillo, Texas at 17,500 miles an hour, so getting a view of the state of Texas below the Canadarm2. Here in just a couple of minutes, the International Space Station will be flying directly overhead in Houston. So if you're in Houston, if you're on your commute to work, make sure you give the space station and its crew members a little wave.
All right, I got it out. Okay, this red is kind of in the way.
Yeah. No matter what side it's on, it's kind of in the way there.
Okay, come on.
You can move it a little bit in any direction if you like.
Yeah, can you pitch it? So right now it's angled a little bit too far down.
Okay.
Can you pitch that? Yep, keep going a little bit more. Trying to get it flush in the mutt jaws. And back up.
And on your screen here, we can see the spare joint is making its way loose. The crew members are making sure to keep it nice and secure as they do so.
Use the tether point to kind of wiggle it a little bit to get these paddles out.
Yeah, I can't hold on to anything except for like the edge of the front face here.
Okay. Yeah, I think these paddles are not popping out. You just make sure. Okay. We got jaws closed, paddles out, and Nope, not quite.
Yeah, those
There we go. Jaws closed, paddles out, and locked.
Yeah, I see it.
Copy. That is a great config. Good work, you two. The joint now should be tethered to ESP2. We will have you reposition the ball stack so that the joint is facing forward. This is for reach once you are ingress to the APFR, Chris.
Copy.
Copy, Chris, and I'm going to keep a hand on it to keep it away from me. Just obviously you can see for us to be watching are the two wrecks.
Yep, I see them.
They could easily get caught, like in the EDF and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of see one of them. I don't know if you can see that closer one. It looks like it's underneath the MOI.
I think it's okay where it is.
Okay.
Just to watch, when we get it off.
Okay. I think that's a good position. It's about as far forward as I can get it.
I think that looks like a good position to me.
Okay. Let me try to see a little bit more. I want to get as much reach as I can. I think that's about what we got. Vectors all look good from here. I got a great view of them.
All right, nice work, you two. We agree that is a good config and a good position of the spare joint. I will take a glove inspection and HAP check from you both while we prepare to ingress the APFRs.
EV1 has a good dry HAP.
And we do have confirmation that that spare joint was removed and stowed as expected temporarily while the crew continues the procedures in order to remove the old joint and eventually swap it with the spare joint. At this time, the crew is completing those buddy checks, the glove and HAP checks, ensuring that their HAP is dry, their gloves are looking good, all their tethers are as they should be, and their mini workstations have the items that they're tracking in them. Following this, the crew will get into their APFR, or Articulating Portable Foot Restraint, one of which NASA astronaut Jessica Meir removed from another location and brought over to be utilized during the next portion of the spacewalk. The APFR is utilized quite often during spacewalks as it helps provide some traction and hold for the spacewalkers for their legs. Of course, in the microgravity environment of the International Space Station and the surrounding vicinity, things float, so it helps to have your feet secured to give you a little bit of traction to be able to complete your work, especially during a spacewalk.
I have my BRT on it. I'll get it on my BRT.
Copy, Jess.
Okay, I'm getting back to the forward side, picking up my local.
Copy. I have cautions for both of you. Let me know when ready.
And a great view now of our spacewalking duo and the Canadarm2, which will have that spare joint swapped out on it today.
So one at a time with ingress aids only. No impulse or cyclic loading into the arm, please, and confirm that there is no motion before you do load the arm.
The International Space Station is currently flying 260 statute miles over the Caribbean Sea.
I've got the pre-lock ride on my BRT, and I'll get ready to get into position for ingress.
Copy.
Next up for our spacewalkers is some preparation for the Lee cluster remover. The Lee is the latching end effector and is similar to the hands of the Canadarm2, and that Lee cluster does need to be removed in order to get access to the area where the joint is going to be replaced. It is joint number 5 that the crew is going to be removing and swapping out today.
We suggest that you put a waist tether down on the CTC so that you can control your role in the APFR later on. And we also want to let you know we had to power off your HECA for a couple of minutes for thermal reasons.
Copy that. And I'm working on my left waist tether on the CTC.
Copy.
Interesting journey. I didn't expect the pump module to be sticking out so far. It actually, the front lip of it actually extends over my yaw pedal.
Copy.
This shouldn't be a problem, just you know what I see. And Chris, I'm going to start ingressing.
Copy, starting to ingress.
Copy, we see it.
Okay. Right foot's in, heels locked.
Looks good.
Nice work, Jess. You can verify your ingress 8 is tucked in.
Left foot's in, heels locked, and my ingress 8 is tucked.
I gotta watch that.
My thought, Chris, take a look at this. In this vertical position, I'm not going to be able to get my PGT out right against this MBSU.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The pump module, yeah.
All right, that's the pump module.
Yeah, I think you need to take that out first.
Yeah, I will get my right, I'm going to take my right foot out and see if I can lean over enough. Because I can't, I have nothing to roll against either right now.
Yeah, you might be able to yaw your way, like if you yaw to your right.
Copy.
You might be able to make space.
You think I can reach my yaw pedal? It's under the lip of the, also under the lip of the pump module. You see that?
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, you're like right up against that pump module.
It's not what I do.
Yep, you're on the yaw pedal right now. If you push your...
I'm going to actually just try to do this.
Yep, you're clear of it. You're clear. Yep. It's out. It's forward.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to ingress.
Houston's following along. Great problem solving, you two. With the PGT out, Jess, you will be stowing that on the crew lock bag and also performing a socket swap. So putting the rigid socket from the PGT to the ERAD from the crew lock bag with a pull twist.
Easy, 2 copies, yeah. So basically what I did, Jenny, I was able to take one foot out, lean over, get the PGT in front of me, and now both feet are back in and locked.
Nice work.
And we said, and we're going to start working on the ERAD, correct?
A-firm, you are going to swap the rigid socket from your PGT to the ERAD.
Okay, If you can give me a double check, Jess, I think I'm in.
You look in. I can't quite see your heels.
Got my heel in.
Looks like they're in, yep.
All right, I'm in.
Good job.
Looks great, Chris. Check the ingress aid is
Ingress aid is tucked.
We got the check. Thank you.
Ingress aid tucked for EV1.
Okay. You can verify your reach to the spare joint.
Yeah. So I can see it.
I can see it too.
Let me see. I think I have to.
I can definitely feel the SC2 moving when you move.
Yeah, I just need to take a foot out, I think. So if I take a foot out, I can get a finger on the tether point of it. Did I put a hook on that tether point?
Copy. And Chris, you will be rolling your APFR one position closer to vertical, which is Bravo. Right now you're in Charlie, so you're in the forwardmost roll position. So that will also help with your reach. But that's great for us to know. Thank you.
Yep. All right, I'm going to put my foot back in. All right, I'm back in and tucked.
Copy.
Yeah, I have the 2-inch on my PGT on my pit pin. I'm gonna, before I fully remove it, I'm gonna get the ERAD out.
Copy.
And this view of NASA astronaut Chris Williams as he does a little bit of in-space photography of NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who is continuing to get things in a good configuration on her mini workstation.
You are ready. You can give your robo support today, so Jack and Sophie, a go for the R&R position. No issue if you want to wait until the socket swap and bag ops are complete for Jess.
What do you think, Jeff?
I think it might be better to wait because see how well I have the crew lock bag.
I concur. I think it's kind of could flop out, and the arm's going to be pretty close to us.
Sounds great to us.
AM1 copies. We are standing by.
And in this view, you can see that Williams is in that APFR, that articulating portable foot restraint that we referenced earlier that gives him a little leverage and gets his feet in a good spot for him to be able to do the next portion of the spacewalk, which will include a little help from inside the International Space Station, where European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau will be primed to move the Canadarm to a bit closer to Williams and Meir so that they have good access to it for the removal of the joint that they are replacing today and the eventual swap out of that. So at this time, we're standing by for the crew outside the International Space Station, our spacewalkers Williams and Meir, to give the go to Adeneau to begin that arm motion from inside the International Space Station. A second of downtime for our crew while they make sure they're in a good config for that. The International Space Station currently flying 260 miles over Brazil.
Yeah, do you want to put it on the handle?
Exactly.
Copy. Good pull test. We'll also have you stow your PGT with the ERAD on the crew lock bag. Let me know if you want words on tethering.
Okay, that's right. It's the ret that was on the mutt.
Affirm, it is the external small ret. It was on the mutt ball stack mutt.
Okay, I don't see.
I think we must have taken that off. So when you've deployed the mutt, detach that one. That one was supposed to stay.
Okay,
Yeah, because right now we have I see one ret is going from the mutt to the, that was supposed to be the one that stayed on the bag.
Okay, sorry, I thought I asked about that one, and, okay. All right, well, let's,
So what about the ret that I just used that has the red, the pit pin ret?
Yeah.
Coming out of the bag. There's also the integral ret that's on the outside of the bag.
Houston's preference is the pit pin ret.
Copy.
All right.
And if you're just joining us this morning, we're continuing to bring you live coverage of the 280th spacewalk outside the International Space Station. We are now 1 hour and 30 minutes into today's spacewalk, where NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Chris Williams are working to repair and swap out a joint on the Canadarm2. That spare joint that was outside the International Space Station has successfully been removed at this point and has put in a temporary stow location. The crew is now in their articulating portable foot restraints and getting everything set up ahead of the movement of the Canadarm2 from inside the International Space Station that will take place by European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adeneau.
Yeah, and A-firm, we do want it on a ret so that it reaches between you two when you're doing your operations at the arm. But you can, of course, put the tethered end of that ret on the adjustable D-ring if you want.
Okay, that makes sense. Right now I have, Chris, I have the tethered, and so I have it on the handrail, pit pin side. So I'm going to detach the other side, and I'm going to use the other side on my PG.
Hit and copy and concur.
And conveniently, it looks like it's one of the ones that's really close to the top, so this won't be too bad.
Sounds like we're headed to a good config.
Getting good views from both of the crew members' helmet cams here, respectively, of one another, both in their articulating portable foot restraint. Williams is wearing the spacesuit with the red stripes. You can see him there on the left of your screen, and Jessica Meir is wearing the unmarked spacesuit on the right-hand side of your screen.
And Jenny, just a reminder, I'm putting the hook that I released from my end, that goes down to my swing arm, on my right bunny ear, in case I need a reminder on that.
Copy. We'll track that. Thank you.
Okay, that looks like a good config. I see it.
Houston agrees, and we are ready for you to work with Sophie and Jack for the R&R position.
Okay, Jessica, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Sophie and Jack, this is your EV team. We are ready for you to GCA the arm into position. Our ingress aids are clear, and our tethers and tools are tucked in and clear.
EV from M1, we copy. Give us a minute to prepare the maneuver.
E copies.
And with that, we did get the confirmation that everything is looking good from the outside of the International Space Station to begin that arm movement by the Canadarm2. This will help get the arm in a place where both of the crew members can access it a little more easily. As you can see, they're in their APFR, those articulating portable foot restraints, so a bit easier to bring the arm to them so that they can have that nice grip. And as you can see here, no bad days when you're outside the International Space Station doing a spacewalk. Williams getting some great photography in while they have a bit of a down moment awaiting this arm movement.
EV from M1, we are ready for the motion of the arm.
Any copies? We have good visuals of the arm and good visuals of arm clearance. You are go to start motion.
Go to start motion, and we'll let you check the clearance of the please.
Yep, just watch your
And you can see the Canadarm2 beginning to come a little bit closer there on the top of your screen there. That, again, is being controlled from inside the International Space Station by European Space Agency Sophie Adeneau. NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway is also helping to support those maneuvers.
I'm watching the clearance here for the spare joint as well. That might get a little bit close.
We're a third of the way.
Copy.
I have a good view of that, Chris.
Copy.
The arm continuing to be inched in slowly but surely by Adeneau.
Almost there.
Copy.
Slowing down.
Copy. You have good clearance.
Copy. TV from M1, we are at the published R&R position. Brakes are on. You are go to verify and assess the reach.
The copies, brakes are on, and we are going to do a reach assessment.
82 copies. I can tell you that this is well out of my work envelope for reaching the joint on Scoop 7. It's like several feet above my head.
Yeah.
I can reach the scoop on joint 6, and I actually think I could reach all of the EDFs on joint 6 from this position, and possibly the mate-demate with the ERAD, but I'll have to put a bolt on there to actually see because I can't see it.
Copy that. Yeah, I have a good access to the scoops on 5 and 6. 7 I will need to roll to reach. That's a little bit out of my envelope. I might be able to if I took a foot out. I think the EDF number 3 on joint 6 is going to be hard for me to get with the 6-inch, so I might need the ERAD for that. I think the other ones, I can get all of them from this position.
Okay, so...
And following some excellent maneuvering of the Canadarm2 by Adeneau, we now see the arm is positioned perfectly between our two spacewalkers, NASA astronauts Chris Williams and Jessica Meir, to gain access to that joint in order to swap it out with the spare joint they've since removed from the International Space Station, now 1 hour and 37 minutes into the 280th spacewalk in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades.
You know how the arm is like canted towards you?
Towards me, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's going to make it difficult reach because I'll be getting close, you know, like Jenny had said, to joint 6.
Yeah.
I can lower my workstation so that that's not in the way. But I mean, if you can, I can show you where the scoop is. Look at where. Can you see where my ERAD is?
Your ERAD, yeah, I can see that.
It's at the tip of my ERAD up here.
The other thing we can do that might be helpful, this will make it harder for me to reach ERAD, or sorry, number 5 on joint 6, but we can come a little bit towards you also.
I don't think you can come toward me very much because of joint 6, because of that angle. Like I'm actually only a foot away from joint 6 right now.
Okay, copy.
Because it's canted again, you know, toward me and away from you.
All right. Well, why don't we bring it down 30 centimeters and see where that puts us? Do you think we need to do significantly more?
Let's start with that, and we can assess.
Okay. Zach and Sophie from ED, we are going to go for a GCA. We're going to be looking for 30 centimeters station nadir.
And as we look at this view here, on the left of your screen, we have NASA astronaut Chris Williams. Just below him, on the lower right of your screen, is NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. almost dead center in the screen from this view is joint number 5, which is the joint that is going to be swapped out by our spacewalkers today. So the duo is working alongside the ground team to ensure that they have the best possible positioning to access this joint in order to remove it and swap it out with the replacement joint, which you can see floating just behind Williams there, behind his arm, slightly to the left of the joint number 5.
TV from M1, we are ready for the motion. Are you?
M1, ready for motion. Go to start motion.
Okay, go to start motion. Starting motion.
I see motion, and it's good motion.
Copy, good motion.
And Adeno now moving the Canadarm slightly to better position it for access for the swap out of joint number 5.
Ramping out.
Copy, ramping out.
Still a bit high, but maybe if I take a foot out, I think I might be able to just reach it.
Okay.
But I also want to make sure, that's what I'm going to be holding on to.
Yeah, that you can get a good...
So, I'm thinking about how it looks in the pool, and I think it was still further nadir than this. It's going to, of course, start making things more difficult for the EDF and the teammate.
TV from M1, we did the motion of 20 centimeters. We could give you a little less than 10 more.
Yeah, we can do... you want 10 more, Jessica?
Yes.
Yep, let's continue 10 more centimeters.
Copy, starting motion for 10 more centimeters, station nadir.
Copy.
A bit more adjustment of the arm in order to get it into just the right place to ensure that both crew members have access to all the points that they will need to swap out that joint.
Up there.
All right, ramp out.
Ramping out.
I think that will do it. I'm going to have to, actually try to touch some things here and see how it goes.
Yep, I think this will work for me as well. I may need the ERAD for number 6 on joint 5, but we'll see how it goes.
Copy. I'm just going to adjust my TCD.
Okay. Yep. So we're ready for brakes and to do a reach eval. M1.
Copy. Standby 1. So right now we have the brakes on, and we need a couple more steps. We call it GCA complete.
Yeah, GCA complete for now. We're going to do a reach eval, and we'll see what we can do.
Copy. Then assessing your reach.
Houston EV2 is at a TCD setting of 2.5.
Houston copies.
And Houston EV1 TCD is 3.
Houston copies.
And before the Canadarm2 is powered down for the swap out of the wrist joint, Williams and Mir are going to go ahead and make sure that from every angle that they need to access, that they have the proper reach in order to do so for that swap out.
I just want to remind you about the scoop install. Hopefully the new positioning of the arm, a little more nadir, helps you access that joint 7 micro square while keeping the 6 EDFs in your reach chest. But we are ready for the scoop install as you're doing this assessment or after.
And M1, just to confirm, brakes are on. We're good for reach assessment.
Yeah, confirmed. Brakes are on, but the arm is not saved. But for the initial assessment of your reach, yes, you are go. Brakes are on.
EV copies. Do you want to go ahead first, Jessica, and get some hands-on?
Yeah, I can touch EDF1. On joint 6, I'm talking now. I can touch EDF1 and EDF2, and also EDF6. Definitely the limit of my EDF.
Okay. And I can touch the EDFs 5, 4, and 3 on joint 6. And I can touch 2, 1, and 6 on joint 5. And I have a good reach to all of my microsquares.
Copy. The joint 7 microsquare is still a little bit out of my reach, but I think I'm going to be able to get to it, especially if I take a foot out.
Okay.
And mate, G-mate, I cannot. Can you see it?
Yeah. I can not. But if I took a foot out, I might be able to.
Because right now, I have no eyes on it. I know where it is, and so I think that with the ERAD, it's going to be around here, right, Chris?
Yep, I'm seeing if I can get eyes with my mirror on it. But I am struggling to see it.
If you're just joining us this morning, we are 1 hour and 45 minutes into today's spacewalk outside the International Space Station, the 280th in support of space station maintenance, assembly, and upgrades.